everyone. So regardless of if we are on the UCLA campus, which happens to be in Los Angeles and Westwood, California, so regardless if we're on that physical campus or not during this COVID-19 time, we do like to start off all of our presentations with a land acknowledgement. So we would like to acknowledge that we are located on the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of the Gabrielino Tongva indigenous people. And we are very grateful to be able to continue to study and learn and educate others on this sacred land. So the School of the Arts and Architecture is a small visual and performing arts professional school located within UCLA's campus. So if you're familiar with West Los Angeles, we're about 6 miles from Santa Monica, which is where the pier is and where the beach is. We're also located near Bel Air, Beverly Hills. We're a couple miles from downtown LA, which is a huge cultural center for museums. So we're situated in a really, really great location. As I said earlier, we are on the UCLA campus. Hopefully you can see that next slide. And we have about 45,000 undergraduate students in total, but in the School of the Arts, because we are a smaller professional school, we actually have a lot smaller of a population. It's gonna be about 650 students. So that's quite a bit smaller of a community. You automatically get to bring that down to a much smaller, more intimate environment when you're studying your arts programs. I just want to make sure you all can see this. I've had an issue with this screen before. I'm so sorry.
We can see this.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So moving right along, as I said earlier, we are in the Westwood, Los Angeles West Side area, and we are located in the #1 creative city in the entire United States. And that means we have so many creative opportunities, not just in terms of jobs, but in terms of internship and volunteer opportunities and opportunities for you all to explore different visual and performing arts opportunities, such as museums, shows, just take in the culture and diversity that is Los Angeles. So 1 in every 8 careers in LA is in the creative industry. So you're in a great place to be, no matter if you choose to study arts as your main career or as your main major or not. And just to share some data with you all, the impacts of the arts are huge, and I'm glad that you all are here today interested in the arts, but just in case you're curious about the kind of impact you all are making or hope to make when you continue in this career or this academic field of the arts, you make a pretty big difference. So by this year in 2020, there's supposed to be 30 million folks working in the arts in the United States, and then we contribute about 700 billion to the global or to the US economy in terms of our outputs of our creative materials and what we're doing, whether that's entertainment, film, visual arts, performing arts. We really do make a big and important difference in this world. So in terms of our school in particular, we have 5 Bachelor of Arts degree programs housed in 4 different departments. So when you come in to apply in one of our programs, you can pick one of our 5 different majors, but they're all Bachelor of Arts majors, which is a little bit different. And that's because we really prioritize a strong technical training in your arts area, but also have this liberal research and general education kind of foundation to your art studies. So when you come to UCLA, you'll get about 60 to 70% of your time will be studied in your arts major, in that depth, that studio training, the technical skills, you'll be learning all of that. But about 30 to 40% of the other part of the time that you'll be studying will be in your general education areas. So if you're interested in sciences, political science, sociology, English, math, world language, all of those subjects you get to continue to study and see how they play into your arts major. So we really encourage interdisciplinary studies at our school, and we think that's definitely something that's a strong suit, is that you can come to study a really strong arts training with our world-class faculty, but also explore different intellectual curiosities that you have outside of the arts and see how they all intersect together. So we do allow for double majoring, we do allow for students to minor, you can study abroad, so basically you can do everything that one can do at a research institution while getting this strong arts training. So here are our 5 majors, and this is the enrollment numbers. So if you actually divide these numbers by 4 years, that's how many students are in each cohort. So if you're entering as a first-year student, perhaps in the art major, you're going to have about 50 students total in your particular cohort. So that's, again, a lot smaller than you might find in some other majors at UCLA. We really pride ourselves on having really intimate studio classes that are usually capped between 17 and 20 students and having between between 2 and 3 professional working faculty in every single studio class you're taking. So I'll take you through each of our majors, and then I'll go through our extracurricular opportunities as well as our application process. So starting with the Department of Architecture and Urban Design, the undergraduate degree that we offer is a BA in Architectural Studies. Now this is a little bit different than our other programs, and that's because it's only a 2-year program, which means you enroll or start at the junior level. So if you're interested in applying as a first year or freshman applicant to UCLA, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, you won't be able to select this major until you're approaching your 3rd year on campus. Another option is that you can go to another community college or a 4-year institution and transfer in at the junior level or your 3rd year. So you have a couple different entry points into this program, but what makes us unique outside of the format of our program is what we actually cover in the content. We focus more on design, sustainability, urban planning, critical studies, and technology. So this is definitely more a design-centric and visual arts-centric architecture program. We don't require math or civil or structural engineering courses as part of our curriculum. So you definitely will be learning all the software, so Rhino and AutoCAD, we will teach you that if you don't have experience in that in advance, so don't worry about that. You'll also get access to some of our fabrication labs with 3D printers, laser cutters. We also have a robotics lab, and on the top left, you'll see a photo. Those are our studios, and our students like to have them messy. That's how they work best, is just seeing all of their projects laid out in front of them. So all of our students in the Architectural Studies major get their own studio space or kind of working desk space. So if you're looking at the program in terms of enrollment, it's only 25 juniors and 25 seniors. So you really get to know your class really well. And many of our students, about 2/3, do end up going into an architectural field after they graduate. So they'll go pursue the Masters of Architecture graduate program and then sit for licensure. That's absolutely one path you can go in, but a lot of our students have many other intersecting interests in different fields as well. So we have students that are going into fashion, entertainment, film, transportation, and the bottom left is just an example of that. Our students actually got to participate in a live project where they built the cabin space for Elon Musk's Hyperloop, which is a high-speed transportation system that is actually currently being built, and it's supposed to get passengers from LA to San Francisco in about 30 minutes or less. So our students got to build prototypes of the cabin space. And also on the bottom right, you'll see, if you've seen Black Panther, that's Queen Ramonda. One of our faculty, Julia Corner, actually 3D designed and printed all of the costumes for Queen Ramonda, which actually won an Academy Award for costume design. So if you're interested in building design and understanding the sustainability aspect of it and how that impacts your community, you found the right place. But know that you have many options outside of architecture that you can pursue after being in this program. The next major is the BA in Art. This is our traditional fine arts program, and it covers 6 different studio areas. So if you have any interest in these traditional studio areas of painting, drawing, ceramics, sculpture, photography, or new genres, this is going to be the major for you. In terms of photography, when we're in an in-person setting, we typically cover more darkroom photography skills and training, but because we are remote, we're focusing more on digital right now. And then the new genre studio area is going to be more about videography, installation, mixed media work, performance work, just a combination of a bunch of different types of media. So you'll take all of these different studio areas, about 8 hours per week, and you'll take each studio a different term. So maybe you come in your fall term, you'll take painting, your winter term, you'll take ceramics, and your spring, you'll take photography. And then you take the last 3 your next year. And then when you get to your advanced years, you can take whichever studios that you align most with, that you're most excited about, or that you just want to kind of pursue your understanding of that field better. So you don't get a concentration in any of these areas, but you can decide how much depth that you go into. And all of our classes are actually supplemented with art history and global modernism classes. So here's just a smattering of different images from the program. You can see the top left, that's our painting studio. Bottom left is our print lab. Top right is our darkroom photography and large and medium format photography courses. And the bottom right is an exhibition. So this is one of our faculty members working with students to kind of go over what you would call critique. And if you haven't participated in one before, I'm sure many of you have, but in case you haven't heard about critiques, that's an opportunity for faculty and your peers to look at your work, whether you're halfway through your term, all the way through your term, and just to give you feedback on what's working in the piece, what's not, give you language about what is working or not working in your piece, and you can decide kind of what you want to take and move on with that suggestions, or maybe you don't want to use those suggestions. That's a really critical part of our studio art programs, and that's kind of reflected here in that image, but we also put this image in to show you that there are multiple opportunities in a given year to showcase your work in all of our visual arts programs. So whether you're architecture, design, fine arts, there are multiple opportunities every term for you to showcase your work in a couple of our studio spaces on campus. Now that we're more remote learning right now, are the same exact names of our gallery spaces. So for example, the New White Gallery is the one on the bottom right. Our students are actually showing their work through an Instagram. So what will happen is when it's your turn to kind of display your work, you'll take over the Instagram for that week or 2 weeks, and it will kind of be your turn to showcase to the world your work. So that's how we're kind of working around that. Given the times. Our third major is a Bachelor of Arts in Design Media Arts. This is not a graphic design program exclusively. This is more learning how students can interact with technology in different creative ways across a huge variety of different media areas. So yes, graphic design is one component, but we also have interactivity and animation. Game design is really, really popular, and that's what that main header image is kind of showing. We have nanotechnology, projection work, coding, fabrication, which is more product design. I'll show you an image here on the top left. That's a student working on creating a skateboard deck in our fabrication lab. We have virtual reality classes, user experience, user interface, digital photography, videography. I mean, the list just goes on. And we try to incorporate new technologies into our program each year as well to kind of keep up with the times. So in this program, it is heavily emphasized in digital technologies, but you don't have to have that experience in advance. We do accept portfolios that are more traditional fine arts, and then you'll learn all of the different technologies and softwares once you're in our program. And because our classes are so small, you can learn from peers, you can learn from our TAs, and of course our professors on some skills that might be more new to you. So it really is this dynamic blend of students that come from fine arts backgrounds, that come from digital backgrounds, that come from coding backgrounds, and they all kind of come together to create this really dynamic cutting edge program. And the last set of majors we'll cover are in one department, but they're two separate majors. So the department is called World Arts and Culture / Dance, but we have two separate majors. So I'll go over the dance major first. I know many of you might be visual artists, but I'll just cover it just in case. So the dance program is really unique because we blend theory and practice of dance in a global context. So for the practice of dance, obviously that's your movement and technique classes when you're learning the different choreography steps and styles, but you'll also be complementing that with understanding the historical and the contextual elements that have gone into making that dance form what it is. How is New York and Bay Area hip hop different? What makes them similar? So you'll do some more research and just understand the context and history behind those dance forms before you dance them. So there's that element. But then we have this global context that they're all set in. So you'll definitely be taking traditional westernized classes like ballet, hip hop, contemporary modern, but you'll also be exposed to ballet folklorico, Southern Indian style dance. You have improv dance, you have capoeira, which is a martial arts kind of Brazilian style dance. So you'll just have a wide variety, and that's just 5 of about 30 different styles of dance that we do offer. And faculty that we have that are visiting each year will come in and teach their own styles as well. I know this year we have a professor teaching her own indigenous style dance. So just an option for you all to know that we have a performing arts option. And last but not least is the World Arts and Cultures major. This is less focused on studio art and more about how to apply art into a social justice and arts activism and community-based way. So this is great for students who have many different interests. Maybe you're interested in world language, international relations, anthropology, psychology, political science, and you're also interested in film and photography and murals, and you kind of want to combine them all together, this is the program for you. It really looks to you as the student to kind of drive what art form you're interested in using. So the faculty will teach you the different culture and representation theories. You'll learn about different communities. You'll learn about how to do research ethically in those communities. But then it's up to you to apply your passion for a particular art form or multiple forms in your final projects. So that's where World Arts and Cultures is born, is this interdisciplinary program that combines more humanities and the arts in one program. And we don't have any studio art minors, so unfortunately you aren't able to minor in photography or design, but we do have an arts education minor called VAPA, Visual and Performing Arts Education, where you'll learn how to teach arts curriculum to K through 12 students, kindergarten through senior year of high school. You'll learn how to teach students in those grade levels different art forms, and you'll learn the methodology of teaching as well, and just different ways to interact with students. And it's more volunteering and service learning as well as academic credit. So that's just another option for you all. In addition to our academic program, we have a variety of research centers. So whether you decide to major in the arts or not, all of these are available to majors and non-majors to engage in, do research in, meet other peers who are interested in similar discipline areas. One I like to highlight is the Game Lab, and that's a really fun place where design media arts majors, maybe some film majors, some computer science majors all come together to explore play-related research. So, you know, how do you construct characters and a narrative in a game? How do you animate the characters? How do you create the different what-if scenarios and the user experience and the flow through the games? Do games have to be online, you know, in a TV indoors? Can you play games outside? How do you interact with your environment? So again, an opportunity for students, even if you're not in an arts major, to kind of learn more about the different offerings that we have in all of our different majors. And last but not least are our public arts units. So again, whether you're in an arts major or not, we offer 3 wonderful museum and performing arts opportunities for students to engage with the arts on and off campus. So 2 are museums. The Fowler Museum is a contemporary and cultural history museum that focuses on non-Western styles of art. And it's really great if you want an internship, if you want to learn more about non-Western styles of art. So we have art from the Pacific, we have art from South America, we have art from Africa. So it's really unique to be able to have that on our campus. So looking at art from a more historical lens. The Hammer Museum is also another wonderful place, not just on weekends to see, you know, the new shows with friends, but it's great if you want an internship or job. And we have rotating contemporary works as well as 15th through 17th century Dutch, Flemish, and English works that are there to stay permanently in our collection. And last but not least is the Center for the Art of Performance, or CAP, and this is a performing arts organization that brings different musical theater acts, singing groups, dancing groups, and TED Talks and speakers to our campus, and students get access to all of these wonderful acts and shows for $20 or less, and sometimes even free. So whether you're, you know, in the arts or not, at UCLA, we really embrace the arts, and these are just 3 additional ways to engage with our wonderful arts patrons, if you will. All right, so hopefully maybe some of those programs have drawn some interest to you. If they have, I'll kind of walk through what the application process is. And this image is actually a digital rendering of the Broad Art Center. And this is where the majority of your art and design classes will be located. And the bottom left, you'll see that door right near the staircase. That's our main gallery, the new white gallery. And that's where you'll be showing your work, hopefully, if you come to UCLA. So what you'll need to know is that there are 2 steps in applying to UCLA Arts. The first step is filling out the University of California application. And if you're familiar with some other UC schools, we have UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, UC Berkeley. There's 9 of those institutions. You're welcome to apply to as few as 1 or as many as 9 with just 1 application. So you'll fill that out. It has anything that, you know, the common application might see. So you'll have to report your grades, you know, internship or volunteering or leadership or extracurricular involvement, and then some essay questions. We don't accept letters of recommendation, so don't worry about acquiring those. The most important part of this application is that you list your arts major as your first choice major to UCLA. UCLA does not consider your second choice major. We only have that there because some other schools in the UC system look at your second major, but UCLA only looks at your first choice. So if you really are curious and interested about applying to an arts major, the only way to be considered for that or to even submit your portfolio is putting that as your first choice major. So once you do that, you'll have to submit it by November 30th. Then you'll get access about a week later to your supplemental application, which is our own homegrown system, similar to a slide room, but it's just a UCLA branded version of that, where you can upload all of your required materials for your arts major. And the due date for those actually vary by major. So if you're interested in architectural studies, fine arts, or design media arts, your supplemental materials are going to be due January 20th, about 2 months after your UC application. And if you're interested in our World Arts and Cultures major or our dance program, your supplement is due a little bit earlier on December 15th. So the first step, again, is filling out that UC application so you can get access to your supplemental website. All of our majors have vastly different requirements, so I'm happy to set up individual counseling appointments to walk you through all of those requirements. They're all available on our website. They're all updated for this upcoming cycle, and they don't typically change much from year to year. So if you're not quite ready to apply this cycle, you do have an opportunity to kind of take a look at what we're asking for this year and maybe start putting some things together. And usually the requirements don't change much from year to year. So what you might find and some of the portfolio requirements are, 5 to 8 images of your best finished work. You might be asked to submit an artist statement, or who are your influences and inspirations in the art field. For our dance program, you'll be asked to submit a video audition. You're going to be asked for any more art-related extracurriculars or honors and awards, or art-related employment. So for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. It's just going to be maybe some department statements or artist statements, and then showing your visual work. But again, each major has their own specific requirements that are all online. And I'll make sure to share that link with you all at the end. And just kind of a frame of mind for, what should I be putting in the portfolio? We get this question a lot. I kind of want to throw it back to the students and ask you, what do you want to share with our faculty? What we're looking for is what we call a creative ad. We already have what we have in the program. We want something new and unique and different, and that's you. We want to see your authentic voice as an artist, as a designer, as a dancer. Bring that to us. Don't just look at our website and think, oh, they make this kind of work. I'll try to replicate that work, and that's what they want to see, and I'll share that. No, we want to see what you're working on. What are you working on at home when nobody's asking you or giving you a prompt? What is that work that you're making? What inspires you? That's what we want to see in the portfolio. So yes, definitely research our programs and our faculty, and see the kind of work our students are making. But at the end of the day, we want to see what you have to bring to the table. And last but not least is how we review applications. So I know there's a lot of information here. I'll just focus on the freshman application process. But what happens is, even though you submit your UC application first and your supplemental application second, they're actually reviewed in reverse. So faculty look at your creative materials first to determine, is this a good fit for our program, or are they a good creative add to our program? And if they think you are, you get what we call a creative recommendation. It's just common internal language, which means that they would like to admit you. We just have to make sure you meet our academic minimum requirements. So if you've gotten that creative recommendation, your application then moves along to our academic and admission review committee, where we just check to make sure you meet the following minimum criteria. And so long as you meet the minimums, you are good to go. If you get way above, that's great. You can be considered for scholarships, but we really just ask, as long as you meet the minimums, you're all set. So assuming most of you are out of state from California or international, you'll need to have a 3.4 GPA at the time of application. You'll need to complete what we call the A through G requirements, which most high schools are pretty much set up to complete. It's your couple years of English and writing classes, science, history, math, world language. So just check with your counselor to make sure you're on track for that. And then if you've been at an institution where your last 3 years of instruction have not been primarily in English, you'll need to take an international language exam, but I think for the most part, you should all be set being from Canada. And that's it. So as long as you meet those 2 or 3 criteria, you're all good to go in our process. If for some reason you don't get admitted your freshman year or your freshman application cycle, we have opportunities for you to apply as a sophomore level transfer and a junior level transfer. So there are definitely more opportunities to apply later on as the years progress, and you can definitely contact us if you have any questions about that later on. And the last thing I'll mention is actually as of a couple days ago, the UC system is officially test-free. So don't worry about submitting your standardized test. There's no space to do that on the application this cycle, and we won't accept it. So hopefully that lessens the stress this cycle. And that kind of wraps up the information I have to share with you all. Again, my name's Nikki Klepper. My director is Laura Young. We've also both graduated from the School of the Arts, so we know it inside and out, and we're happy to share more details about our programs, as well as the application process if any other questions come up. So you'll see that admissions at arts.ucla.edu is the best way to get in touch with us. And then if you want to know more about the resources that we have, check out some of the portfolio requirements. You can find that on that gold URL. It's the arts.ucla.edu/apply. That's the best way to kind of see what resources we have, see our virtual tours, and get in touch with our current students in the program. So thank you all so much for having me this evening, and I'll stick around if you have any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Nikki, for the amazing presentation. And right now, let's begin our Q&A session. Same drill. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, or you can type your question through webinar chat, and I will read it out loud. I do see a question in our chat right now. It's from Maggie. She said, thanks for your excellent introduction. Is there music faculty in UCLA?
Excellent question. So UCLA School of the Arts and Architecture is one of 3 creative schools at UCLA. So yes, there is a music school. It's not within my realm, but it is called the Herb Alpert School of Music, and we offer ethnomusicology, global jazz, music history, music industry, music composition, music education. And then the 3rd school is the School of Theater, Film, and Television. So if you're interested in film production or musical theater, that's a 3rd option for you all.
Perfect. And I do have a question for you. Since you mentioned the Department of Architecture and Urban Design only begins on the 3rd year, so is it possible to apply for another BA program and then transfer to that bachelor degree?
Absolutely. So if you're interested in our architectural studies program, there's a couple different paths that you can take, and one of them is just what Lulu said. So you're welcome to apply to another Bachelor of Arts program at UCLA. So whether that's, English, history, maybe your art major, you can apply to that. And then if you're admitted to UCLA, spend your first 2 years taking general education classes, and then change your major to architectural studies. Another option is to go to a community college for 2 years and then transfer into UCLA at the 3rd year. And your last option is to go to a completely different 4-year institution, and then you can transfer in at your 3rd year. So you have lots of options, and you have a couple more years of time to be able to figure it out.
Perfect, thank you. And we have another question from Vivian. She asked, what grades are calculated into the GPA?
Yeah, so right after we move on to the next panelist, or I guess the next presentation, I'll share a variety of links for you all, and one of them will be the A through G class requirements. And that is pretty common for most of the California institutions, that they'll require, I believe it's 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 1 year of visual and performing arts, 1 or 2 years of world language. So those are all the classes that will be factored into what we call the UC GPA. So it's the A through G classes that will be factored into your UC calculated GPA. So we love that you're taking PE and music and a lot of those classes and extracurriculars, but not all of those will be factored in. So I'll share that link with you all so you can make sure you're on track.
Perfect. And another question from Maggie. Your 5 majors need 5 types of portfolio or all different requirements?
Thank you for the question. I'll definitely clarify. We have 5 different majors, and each major has a separate portfolio from the next one. So you can only apply to one, unfortunately, at a time. So let's say you want to apply to our design program. Design has its own separate portfolio requirements, which are different from the architecture major. So in each portfolio, you might have a few different assignments, but they're different from one major to the next.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Of course, thank you all, and I'll include those links for you all right now.
Yes, please check the webinar chat for more information that Nikki shared. Thanks.